So today's webinar is going to be looking at and exploring the options when it comes to consolidated reporting for Sage 50 and Sage 200. The Roveel and Joiin team have come up with kind of a unique solution for this, for a kind of a clear gap in the market, which Mark and I are going to be exploring today. So I'll hand over to Mark a second to introduce Roveel, and then we'll crack on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Harry. So I'm Mark from Roveel, founded Roveel 11 years ago to solve a real problem around reporting. Essentially, why should large corporates have this benefit of all of the data and understanding the data when actually an SME should have access to it. So I'm an accountant, so that's my background, and I was spending my life exporting information out of predominantly Sage back in the day into Excel, analysing it, pivoting it, and doing consolidations. So all done in Excel. So yeah, we work closely with Joiin. We've got a really good partnership with Joiin, and we've come up with a really neat solution that we want to introduce you to today.
Cool. Okay. Hi to those of you joining us, sort of kind of steady numbers now. So I'm Harry, for those of you that don't know me, and I head up the customer success team at Joiin. Joiin, again, for those of you that aren't aware or familiar, is a consolidated reporting tool primarily for Xero, QuickBooks, and Sage Business Cloud, but we also connect with now Sage 50 and 200, as the webinar title suggests, and some other newer tools as well. So we kind of handle all of that kind of consolidation problem. I've been at Joiin for about 5 years now, around since almost the beginning. We were founded in around 2017, and again, it was initially founded as part of a build-buy strategy to bring together multiple media businesses. We created the tool. We saw that actually it was really marketable, and we went to market with it, and here we are today, a couple of thousand customers later, and kind of doing great webinars like today. So we'll jump right into the challenge, I guess. Everybody knows consolidated reporting in terms of for the kind of that the group of companies, integral part of the process, but also there's lots of tricky bits involved in there, and kind of manual interventions that might have to take place, particularly if you're on Sage 50 or Sage 200. So I'm going to hand over to Mark, and he's going to talk through some of the issues his customers were facing and what we're doing now.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. So yeah, so essentially, certainly when I worked in practice, and then I worked as an FD and CFO for a number of different companies. Essentially, you get within a group, so you end up either with fragmented systems, so you'll have some on Sage, some on Xero, some on QuickBooks, or they'll all be on Sage or all on one of the others. And actually, doing a consolidation every month, every quarter is a real pain, and exporting that information out generally it's generally an export out into Excel, alignment of nominal codes, mappings, all of that sort of process, and then you'll get someone adds a new nominal code in the team, and then it throws out the mapping, and then you've got to redo it and go back over your steps, all of that sort of stuff. So that's the challenge. I think we see a lot of time wasted on reporting generally, and certainly on the consolidation space, and it is about getting that data to be consistent, trusted, but crucially quick. You don't, what we now, middle of June, you don't want to be doing a consolidation from the end of March. It doesn't add any value. So actually, if you can do your consolidation quickly, and you can do all the intercompany eliminations and actually manage that process in a structured way and get that information out, delivered, and a clear deliverable, either for clients if you're an accountancy firm, or if you're a business owner in the finance team running your own business. Understanding that information quickly is absolutely critical to being able to make decisions.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, Mark. We're seeing a real sea change in what customers are kind of demanding when they come to us. So back 5 years ago, it was, I want to manage my intercompany eliminations, but I'm wasting man hours or kind of working hours creating these reports, downloading them in Excel, and it's taking me time. And now the sea change is, no, it's not about the time spent. It's, no, I want it now. I want to be able to make the decision right now, which is really interesting, the way that kind of language and the kind of expectations have changed. and hopefully leads in really nicely to what we're going to be showing
Yeah.
you today.
Yeah, and
So,
absolutely. I think there's very little value in, we're all about Reveal, and I'll run through in terms of a bit about Reveal, what Reveal does in a little while. But it's all about having that up-to-date information so you can make a quick decision on a day-to-day operational level, and that's pivotal for businesses at the moment. Especially, we've been in a fairly tough economic environment for the last 5 years, I'd say, at least from the effects of COVID and all of that. And actually, we saw during that COVID period a real shift towards needing to know information there and then, what's going on, which products are performing, all of that sort of stuff. I'll come on to that in a moment. I think we've got a poll we're gonna put out shortly as well, just in terms of understanding what financial system you're using as well. So yeah, and happy to take questions as a Q&A. There's a Q&A button. By all means, pop your questions on there. We'll cover those at the end. Yep.
perfect. Okay, and yeah, just like
Nice.
that, we've got the poll that we're going to be launching here. So I'm just going to get this one up on screen.
Brilliant.
Here we go. So I should have just launched that poll, and I do invite all of you to please respond. That would be great. It would give us some real good insight into who we've got joining us, and it will let us kind of tailor the session actually into
Yeah.
to being more aligned with the people we have live here. And I can see we've got lots of people voting. So that's really good.
Brilliant.
Still about 50% of people that haven't voted yet. So if you wouldn't mind voting, I'll give you a couple more seconds. And there we go. Okay, we're up close to the kind of the 75% mark. So I'm going to show those poll results on screen now. Um, so so 50% of people in the poll are, or in the session, are using Xero. That's kind of to be expected, I guess. We both kind of serve Xero customers. But the interesting ones actually, and that we're kind of looking at here is the Sage 50 and 200 and producing the consolidated reporting option for them. But actually, a big part of this and a big reason why we initially came together was we had customers or joint customers who were using Xero, but then they had one entity on Sage 50 or one entity on Sage 200, and actually finding a way to bring those all together is another thing we're going to be exploring today. So we're going to go now very briefly into a kind of an early success story from the first launch of our connection, which I will share on screen with you now. And Mark's just going to run through because it was initially put someone through Reveal, a group of nurseries that he's worked with very closely.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Harry. So Tynemouth Nursery Group, based up in the northeast. They were our first customer through using this, a bit of a sort of beta test with us when we first started looking at working with Joiin and doing this. So Tynemouth Nursery Group was founded in 2009, and they have grown to a significant number of individual nurseries. So I think they've got eight in their group now, and I'll talk about how they consolidate their group in a moment. But in essence, they're a business providing children's daycare to children from the ages of birth through to 8 years old through their after school club. So their business splits into two parts. They've got that the early years side of things, and then they've then got the after school service as well. So they spotted a gap in the market, and Robert Kilsby, who's one of the directors there, spotted a gap in the market. He's an investor in lots of other sort of projects as well. But in essence, that need to deliver childcare to that particular demographic, that particular geographic area, focused on sort of professionals at work. So I know I've used, when my children were younger, we went to nursery, and they delivered a great service, and allows us to get on and carry on and do work. So they're a Sage 50. So for those, I think it was 27% using Sage 50. You'll know, but the others may not. Sage 50 is a company by company entity system database. So you log into each individual company. Okay, that's often a frustration having to log into each individual entity because it takes a bit of time just to log out, log back in, and you're posting stuff and going back and forth. I remember when we introduced Robert to Roveel to start with, the ability just to switch between entities inside Roveel is literally click on the company name and select the next one, and it's there. It doesn't have to go off and synchronize the database or do anything like that. So it's really quick to get access to the day-to-day information. Um, one of the key challenges he had, obviously, is understanding his own performance indicators and KPIs within the business. Now, a nursery group, it's all about occupancy rates. It's about cost of providing food, and actually the number of children, the cost per head of providing that food, and also the labour rates and the ratios between the nursery staff and the number of children, because they don't want to be overstaffed, but they're legally obviously not allowed to be understaffed by the sort of government standards and things. So they've got various performance criteria that they absolutely have to hit to be compliant. So we worked with them to build a KPI dashboard report, and build that for the whole of the group, so that they can monitor each individual care nursery, and report against those KPIs. He's then able to look at each individual site, and go, right, well, this beautiful leafy one that we've got here is performing better or worse than another one in a different environment.
Mark,
And
I've got a question for you.
yeah, go for it.
And I promise to the audience this is a live question. I've not pre-prepared this. So you said you created this KPI dashboard for them, now using this kind of connector. How was it being done previously? And
Uh,
what did that process look like?
yeah, so it was manually done in Excel. Just in a nutshell. So what our suggestion, and is that, and what he does is he will journal in. There's a little tip that we've developed over the years. He will journal in, and this works across all of any platform. He will journal in to Sage 50 in this instance, the numbers that he wants to do. So if he's say got weekly occupancy as one of his KPIs, he will journal it in and out on the same nominal code. We go and pick up the debits from that nominal code and then put them on the P&L report or his KPI dashboard. And we'll pull that information. We'll pull that information from within Sage, so it doesn't affect his numbers in Sage, or Xero. We do it in Xero as well, but we can then start to get some of those KPIs. One of the big things is that these systems that we're talking about here don't allow you to track KPIs in them natively. There's no option to put them in. So that's what we did with Timeth, so that they can monitor those KPIs. But yeah, it was all done in Excel before, and took a lot of time. Yeah. One of the other big areas is around empowering the team, and I shared that at the start. That actually my goal is about using data to make decisions faster, better, and make the right decision. So he will give each nursery manager access to their headline financial information. I don't think they can see profit and down to at that level, but certainly that high level that they need to manage, they can see, and they can then share that with the team leaders. So each individual nursery manager has access to Roveel, and they can track those key metrics, and obviously report on them, and they can make better decisions. So the last piece in the puzzle that we didn't have initially was the desire to consolidate at group level. Rob was going to join us today. Unfortunately, he's not available, but he needed to consolidate at group level, so across all 8 companies, and then he wanted to consolidate at subgroup level as well. So he's got two subgroups, effectively the nursery side of things and the after school. So he wants to consolidate at that level, and then at Topco. And we've obviously worked with him to use our solution, which we'll show you shortly, to consolidate his Sage 50 data using Joiin.
Great stuff. So I think Mark is very briefly going to just kind of take you through Reveal, show you some of the kind of the initial dashboards and whatnot, and then we're going to look most importantly, I guess, for the person today, at that connection between Reveal and Joiin. So Mark should have access. Fire up his screen. We're good to go.
Fantastic. Yeah, great. Thank you. So, yeah, a couple of minutes to run through this. I could talk about it for 2 hours, but essentially, we pull the information straight from within the system from the system. So, in this example, Sage 50, it's all populated. So we'll grab that information. There's no import needed. It's automatic. It updates. It updates every day as standard. It pulls out this particular dashboard's a high level dashboard around orders, customer orders, very high level EBITDA, sales, GP, who owes you money, who you owe, that kind of thing, with a focus on the overdue days and to understand the demographic of that debt. As you can see down the left-hand side, there's lots and lots of different sections: cash, credit control, financials, suppliers, purchases, sales information. I'll just jump into very quickly into something like the sales overview. And this allows you to drill into any customer, allows you to drill into any product category, and understand what's going on and answer that question. So if you're a salesperson, you've got a team going out on the road to talk to a customer, we've got a particular report that are deliverable. But this allows you to go, okay, we're 26% up. I'm going to click on that particular customer. Let's look at them, see that they're already 42.9% up. Yeah, that's the trend over time. And then it breaks it down by product, and we can see which products have increased with them. So 53 grand worth of envelopes over last year, but they're down on a couple of the PC combo packs. So very, very granular, in at the detail, and very, very able to answer those questions as you're going out to those to go and see those customers. Equally, the financial information, which allows you to drill into the underlying transactions behind it. So by that, you can right click on any number, you can show transactions and drill back and get back to the underlying transaction. If you scanned it in using auto entry, or it's scanned in Xero, you can click on that and it'll take you back to the underlying link. There's lots to show. Happy to do a demo walkthrough. I know it's not really the purpose of today. Happy to arrange a demo with anybody who's interested afterwards, I think. Yeah. Good. So should we move on to the connector, Harry, in terms of how that's working? So there's nothing like doing it live. We are going to do a live demo here. It will all be fine. Essentially, inside Reveal, what we've got is what we've called here a Joiin trial balance. Now, if I open that up here, so first off, you'll see obviously the Joiin logo. We can select over whatever date range we like. I'm going to leave that set as for 12 months, but if you want, that's doing 12 months day to day. So starting in June, you've got the Joiin logo here. That, as you can see, links out to login. So it's seamless. So you go from Reveal, you go on, you grab this report, you export to CSV. So that's exported that out. I will now flip over into Joiin, which I do already have open, but I'm going to add a company. And this is where you can connect obviously to Xero, QuickBooks, Sage Accounting, and a couple of the others. We're going to select add manually or import data. I'm going to go into there and I'm going to go Testco. I'm going to do it as I'll do it as British pounds. And I think I said I was starting in June from memory. Hit next. Right, now I'll just drag that file that I created on my other screen into there. And we've got, so we're doing it in trial balance format. So you saw on screen the trial balance format. So what we've done is we've pre-written that format to be exactly compliant. So it pulls out in exactly the format that Joiin did. And that information will now populate and update. And I've selected the wrong date, didn't I? I selected June 25. Do I just need to go back on there? Harry, is that going to cause a
Yeah,
problem?
if you click on that one, it will show you the rest of your data in there.
Will it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
See, a live demo. What could go wrong? Look, there we
Yeah.
go. But we can see all the information there that we had inside Reveal. Yeah, from here, and crucially, it balances, which is always a good thing.
So yes, and obviously it is a CSV upload download in kind of description, but actually Reveal's doing all the heavy lifting there, making sure the account mappings will line up, that the account types and codes are all going to be working as expected. So all that's left now is Mark to add the company, which we would if he
Yep,
presses the little add company
if I
button
hit
there.
add company there.
Perfect. And then what we can do now is we can jump on over. Mark's taken us through what that upload process looks like and how easy that is, and how all the heavy lifting is done for you. And now I can take you through what that might then look like in Join for some consolidated reporting and what we can do with that data that Mark's kindly presented us with. So you should now be able to see my screen, and you can see Mark's test company here that we put into Join. So I'll run through really quickly just some of the basics of Join. So you've got your company in, you've got your QBO companies, your Xero companies, whatever you want to consolidate, and you're ready to go. So it's all going to work off the shelf. I can go into any of these reports and start building up my consolidations. And what I'll do is I'll finish off by showing you one of our branded report packs as well. So I can go in here and I'm ready to build a free company consolidation. Um, um, Say, for instance, actually, I'm reporting to some lenders in US dollars, despite my company being in British pounds denominated, and I want to see my consolidated figures in US dollars. I could then get a breakdown by company. So I could go like this one and it would show me um, the free companies there. I can shove on that consolidated total and I can tidy up that report a little bit and get me my kind of my net profit figures. Loads that you can overlay on top of this: budgets, forecasting, obviously all of your intercompany eliminations, and adjustments are all balanced and handled by Join automatically. I'll quickly draw your attention to our dashboard as well. So again, as standard, we provide a consolidated dashboard, all interactive, drill downable, rich text, commentary fields, and you can create your own dashboard, share them with your team, share them with stakeholders. So if we go back to Mark's example, Tynemouth Nursery, the CFO can produce a dashboard for each of the nursery sites with their kind of top line expenses or whatever they're looking at day to day, put it on a dashboard, and they could come in straight away and look at those numbers without having to run any reports or anything like that. And it's all kind of interactive and shareable, which is great.
So
Um,
Harry, sorry,
yeah,
Harry,
please, Mark.
so in terms of the consolidation there, obviously we saw you used my test company there. Did you, which was a Sage 51, are you then sort of segmenting that with other group companies that might use Xero or what effectively?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
Join will handle all of that kind of account mapping, lining up account codes that have similar names and whatnot, and working that out for you, and then creating your financial statements again, just straight out of the box.
brilliant. Thank
Um,
you.
and we'll kind of round off this part of the session, and I'll just jump into one of our report packs. Um, and these again, so this is a place at month end, you've produced your P&L, balance sheet, cash flow. You want to put it somewhere to present it to the board, to send it to investors. You put it into these report packs, and then they're ready to share live on screen, download to PDF, email, whatever you want to do with these ones. So I'm just going to go through and just give you a view really of what they look like as an example. Some of the different features available in here. So we've got some new reporting here with rich text commentary fields. All of this is kind of AI driven as well. So it's analysis of the report itself in the report itself. We've got some metrics here taken, just looking at my kind of high level consolidated figures. Again, like I say, all interactive and drill downable. And just scrolling through a kind of a view of what some of the reports can look like. We get some really interesting use cases, weird and wonderful reports created, which we kind of say just dive in and give it a go. It's the best way of doing that. So that's just a real quick look at some of the reporting in Joy, just a small flavor of what you can create. I know we've had a couple of questions come in already, which is really good. So I'll stop sharing one. I'm just going to jump on over to these questions. If you give me 10 seconds,
Thanks, Harry.
Okay. Right. So this is a question that we actually discussed would come up in the pre-session. So I'm glad we've got this one. So I've got a question here from Cynthia. And she's the gist of the question is, what is the relationship between Reveal and Join? Like, what is the link? Who are we? How do we interact?
Sure. So we did talk this. How funny. So yeah. So essentially, we have the same values, we have the same ethos, and we got to know Join over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And I think it became clear that we're both trying to achieve the same things and helping SMEs and accountants understand their data and do things. Now, there's a small bit of overlap in terms of some of the reporting, but I think where we're real granular in at the detail, you're that higher level, and what you've just shown there, the really nice looking board packs and that kind of thing, and obviously the consolidation. So we complement each other really well. That's quite clear, and being able to kind of drill in and understand stuff. So I think it came about through a conversation and relationship building over the years, a few beers and some curry, and
Yeah,
we spotted the opportunity, I think. So
yeah. Because
yeah,
obviously because Reveal have that connection kind of already plumbed in, don't you, to Sage 50 and 200, which
yeah,
we knew was a request that we had, and we don't have that connection. So actually, the synergy there really ideal for the
yeah.
way that
And consolidating in 50 and 200 is as I've said, it's Excel, it's all of that dumping out into Excel and pivoting up and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah,
no, yeah, as we hear
and
the same here, it's an arduous process. So we're really happy about this. Cool. Okay, so I've got two more questions. If people want to put some last minute ones in, that would be really appreciated. Again, so I've got a question here from John. Um, so what's the commercial agreement? But again, I'm paraphrasing here, but what's the commercial agreement? How might this work? What
okay.
what what does a customer need to do to get in touch with both of us?
Oh, okay. Yeah, fine. Um, so in terms of working and doing stuff, the first thing is to get set up on a free trial with Reveal. We then you can then request the joint dashboard, the joint report that I've shown, and that gets added and set up, and then off you go. So we handle it. So in terms of getting set up on Join, we create that, and we work with Harry sort of behind the scenes to get that to get set up, and then off you go. You go and use the Join platform. So one of the key things in terms of the commercials, I'm not sure if that's where John was going with that. In terms of the cost, we charge the same as what Join would charge in terms of the number of consolidations and things. So there's no additional cost. Obviously, you've got to be a subscriber to Reveal, but there's no additional cost over and above Join's standard fee. I don't know if that was part of that question or not, but I've answered it.
Perfect. We've got another question here, which was the final question from John. It's a different John this time, but it's from John again. Um, and this is around chart of account mapping. Again, I'll paraphrase, but John's asking about a different GL code. So his question specifically was around language, and some penny lane companies that have got kind of French GL names.
Yeah.
Essentially, in Join, and I can't speak for Reveal here, but in Join, you can manage that kind of universal account mapping at the highest level across the group. Um, so I don't know what French for sales is, but if you wanted to map that account into your sales 200 from Xero, you can do that in Join as well.
Yeah.
That
So
that would have been really slick had I known what French for sales was.
it would have
Yeah.
been. I didn't do French at school, so sorry, I'm letting you down there. But our solution is to, so Sage 50, we pull the chart of accounts that are coming from within Sage 50. So whatever is set as the default there, we can do a mapping, a different mapping, if you need to, on a bespoke basis. Stage 200, we have a chart of account configurator, so that goes through there. So you can allocate sales to different nominals into different categories: sales, other income, revenue, whatever category you want to. So that's on 200. So yeah. Any other questions that we've got coming in?
I was just kind of scrolling away there, and I answered a couple of questions that were sent directly to us, and I think were kind of meant to be answered personally.
Yep.
So
Okay.
June, I've got back to you on your question. We'll be following up with anyone anyway, as kind of a matter after the session. But June, we can talk about that commercial thing you just mentioned there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine.
so what we'll do, we'll look to wrap up here 2 minutes beyond the schedule, which isn't too bad. Normally these things tend to overrun, so um, really good stuff. And actually, what's been really promising is if you look, Mark, I don't know if you've been looking at these ND numbers, we're still up at like 80%
Yeah.
kind of retention rate. So that's really good. So hopefully that means we weren't talking absolute nonsense, and there's some people really interested um, in this connection. So we'll close out, and I'll just put our kind of closing screen on, and I'll get Mark to close off the session. Thank you very much
Yeah.
from me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Harry. So yeah, I think recap wise, it's about making it simple, easy to get that information out of Sage 50 and Sage 200 and into Join to do that consolidation. It's simple. We've made it as straightforward and as simple as possible. As I said, the next step really is to if you're not already a customer, to get on as to a free trial, and we're happy to do the team here are happy to do a demo walkthrough with your data as well to show you how it works and answer any questions. So the web address is there. You'll fire that into Google. You'll soon find us. And I think yeah, we've done it pretty much to time. So thank you very much. Thank you, Harry, for hosting and running everything through. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Mark, for your time. And we'll be in touch.
Great. Thank
Bye.
you. Cheers.